This is when it all started, in 2015, the so-called migration crisis. At the heart of it, the question, how does Europe want to deal with migrants? It's a question that might determine the outcome of the European elections in May. In the past, many migrants disembarked here, in Sicily. But these pictures are old. Nowadays, this is what the port of Palermo looks like, calm and empty. So this is where my journey starts. As a journalist, I deal with the topic of migration almost on a daily basis. It's really everywhere, no matter whom you ask. And you know what? Rationally, I can't really explain why that's the case. So I ask myself, does Europe really have a migration crisis? This is one of the last NGO ships to go out to sea, the Mare Ionio, rescuing migrants in the Mediterranean.
This area is for the guests.
I met mission chief Luca Casarini, a well-known activist in Italy, in early spring in Palermo. Back then, he was still preparing their first trip. The ship's no spring chicken, built in the 70s, but for Casarini, it's still the promise of a better future.
Help this person signify a new Europe, a new idea of Europe, a new idea of civil society, a new idea, new and old in reality. But in this time of the middle, is necessary say another time that the life is important. And we say, first save the life, and then we can have a discussion about immigration, about problem of distribution, but first save.
That's what Italy did for many years. Remember pictures like these? They're from 2017. That year alone, about 120,000 people arrived by sea on Italian shores. In 2019, it's a different story. By mid-March, officially, not even 400 migrants had made it. And still, migration is expected to be one of the decisive factors in the elections for this House, the European Parliament. Some EU parliamentarians milk the topic as much as they can.
Chômage de masse et immigration massive. Ah, mon Dieu, qu'il est difficile de revenir à la réalité.
Und zwar vor allem durch eine völlig verfehlte Migrationspolitik.
Dare una mano all'Italia e difendere le frontiere esterne.
That's why for the crew of the NGO ship, it's not just about the mission, it's also about the message. First of all, show that not all Italians agree with the hard line of the government. After all, the money was mostly crowdfunded. And secondly, hit home their point that Europe can and must take in many more migrants than some people think. Alessandra Schiorbia is one of the key figures behind the mission and fights for that message. I asked her whether she thinks that Europe is still in a migration crisis.
It's a question of political propaganda, unfortunately, and this is not the first moment in which it happens. It is like that from many years, and of course there is no emergency. Everything is built by mainstream rhetoric, and there will be the possibility to manage a structural normal phenomenon such as migration in a normal human and legal way, but I think there is not the institutional will to do that, and it's a pity.
The popular Interior Minister, Matteo Salvini, has a quite different view. He tries to prevent migrants on NGO ships from disembarking on Italian ports. He told me so himself when I met him last year. Unfazed by this, the Mare Ionio rescued 49 people on its first trip. But in Palermo, this legendary melting pot of cultures, not everybody is happy with that.
in the center. In Sicily, we will put the Sicily.
I met Igor Gelarda. He's a local politician for Matteo Salvini's Lega party. Sicily is no traditional stronghold for the Lega. People here used to shun the party because it originated in the north of the country. But with migration being such a hot topic, it is gaining traction in Palermo, in spite of less and less migrants actually arriving here. Now, Gelarda is running for the European Parliament and has a good chance of being elected. I wanted to understand his rationale and grabbed some coffee with him. After all, this is Italy.
Certamente che abbiamo il problema dell'immigrazione. Il problema dell'immigrazione non è legato soltanto alle persone che entrano, è legato al fatto che in Africa e in Asia ci sono miliardi di persone che spingono sull'Europa perché l'Europa è ricca, l'Europa è importante, in Europa c'è il mito che si vive bene.
Even if this is true, doesn't Italy have much more important challenges to tackle? Is the Lega just after the votes it can get with the migration topic?
Certo, l'immigrazione io direi che più che essere un buon argomento per prendere voti, l'immigrazione è sentito come un problema. Fai conto di una cosa, qui siamo a Ballarò, il mercato è bellissimo, la maggior parte della gente è brava gente, noi in questo momento abbiamo l'ascia nera, che è la mafia nigeriana, che sta sviluppando dei contatti con la mafia locale. Questo l'ha detto la direzione distrettuale antimafia. Quindi la gente ha capito che c'è questa criminalità anche straniera, quindi non è un problema di prendere voti, è un problema che è sentito molto dalla gente. La gente vuole più sicurezza e sappiamo che la mafia locale, che dobbiamo sconfiggere, più la mafia nigeriana, stanno creando una pericolosissima sintesi.
Fear-mongers, racists, even fascists. Those labels are often tagged on politicians like Gelarda from their opponents. Some of the Lega policies certainly provide ground for those accusations. But my experience is also that even populist claims can only hold if there is some truth to what they say. And the Nigerian mafia really has become a problem in Palermo. Of course, there are a lot of reasons to criticize the Lega party, but one thing is indisputable, their success. People, especially here in Palermo, feel like other political parties are not addressing their concerns. For example, migration. And they actually believe that the Lega will do something about it. Time to meet the people that all the fuss is about. Dancing lessons for migrants, another NGO project. Many of the young men and women here are economic migrants, not political refugees. This distinction is extremely important in the whole debate. Mustafa Jarju is an economic migrant. That means he doesn't get political asylum and could get sent back to his home country of the Gambia. I have many questions for him, but the first one is obviously what he is doing dancing around here.
That's a very good question. I love the question. Well, let's say this is something very important for me because first I will tell you, if not this thing, I would have been at home. What would I be doing at home? I would be doing nothing. But today we are here to show these people that we have some capacity, we have some talents that we can do. We are here to dance, storytelling, and do other kind of things. That's what we are here today.
So the key word is integration, and NGOs like this one are trying to be creative about it and help where they can. But the two main elements for integration are usually beyond their grasp: a job and proof of residency, both of which Mustafa doesn't have.
Maybe, but I don't think
After
so.
the dancing lesson, I have a chat with him. He tells me about his 5 brothers and 4 sisters back home in the Gambia. We discuss his hope of finding a girlfriend and his fear of being sent back. And then we talk about the perception he had of Europe before coming here.
If somebody should explain you about Europe, it's like you just want to be there. Exactly, it's like paradise. You understand? So you will just feel like being there within a blink of an eye.
But then it's not like that.
But then it's not like that. When you arrive here, then you realize that Europe is not the way you thought it is.
Did you feel welcome when you came here?
Yeah, I feel welcome when I came here. Yeah, I feel welcome when I came here. I could say that even 100 times I could say that. Because I've seen many people who haven't make it to arrive here. So if I
They didn't make it
to arrive here. So if I make it to arrive here, and today I'm able to speak the eternal language, not very good, but I'm able to express myself the way I want to be. And I'm here today talking with you, then I'm going to thank God for that.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you that I'm welcomed.
So you would do it again?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Even my enemy, I won't advise him or her to take this journey again.
Why?
Because it's a very risky and dangerous journey.
The journey itself?
Yeah, it's very dangerous.
But being here is okay?
Being here, yeah, it's okay being here. Because Africa and Europe is not the same.
And with that, he means that in spite of all the difficulties, being in Europe is still better than being in the Gambia. But for how long he can stay is up in the air. Governments all over Europe are cracking down on economic migrants.
You know, thinking about all the people we met here, of course, you have all kinds of views on migration, people against it, people for it. But one key word that appeared in every discussion I had here in Palermo was integration. Integration determines whether Europe really has a migration problem or not. And not only Palermo needs to integrate. One country especially really has a lot to do in that respect, and it's much farther north.
Even with Palermo being beautiful, most migrants arriving in Sicily in the past wanted to come to Germany. Roughly 1.6 million migrants applied for asylum here in the last 4 years. This is Cottbus in eastern Germany, about 2,300 kilometers from Palermo. For many migrants arriving in Europe in 2015 and 2016, Germany was the dream destination. And some of them also ended up here. So the question is, how has integration worked out here? And I can tell you this, in the year 2019, many of those people behind me think it hasn't worked out at all. Another Saturday, another protest march in Cottbus. The organizers are from a local association called Homeland Future. But this is not a local phenomenon. People from hundreds of kilometers away have come to demonstrate. The motto of the event, drawing borders. Grenzen ziehen heißt das heute. Ne? Das ist, glaube ich, das Motto. Was verstehen Sie darunter?
Grenzen ziehen. Kontrollierte Einwanderung.
Ja. Aber schon Einwanderung.
Ja, Einwanderung, ja. Für die verfolgt werden und Krieg ist in Ordnung. Mit Ausweisen im Rahmen, aber nicht so massig. Massen ist nicht. Massen geht nicht.
Und hier sind ganz, ganz viele Wirtschaftsflüchtlinge und keine, die verfolgt werden. So sehe ich das jedenfalls.
Und was hat sich dadurch verschlechtert hier in der Region?
Die Sicherheit zum Beispiel und die innere Sicherheit, ja.
Christoph Berndt is the man who mobilizes the discontented month after month. I'm a little surprised at how diverse the hot-button issues are. It's not just migration. It's also Germany's energy transition to renewable resources and the feeling of being betrayed by those up there. Also, they don't like journalists. Listen to this. It's one of their favorite slogans. It means there's no right to Merkel's propaganda. This questions whether the press is really free in Germany. Of course, not everybody here wants to talk to us, but those that do are surprisingly diverse. You have people from the far left, you have people from the far right, and all in between, but there's a very real concern here by many people that the migration process is out of control in Germany, that the borders are open, whether it's true or not, and who feel threatened in their future and their safety. Just a reminder, this is how it all started back in 2015. I filmed these scenes with a colleague down in Budapest when tens of thousands of migrants were desperately trying to get on a train to Germany. Then Germany opened its borders, and the German Chancellor made her statement for the history books.
Wir haben so vieles geschafft, wir schaffen das. Wir haben so vieles geschafft, wir schaffen das.
What happened back then is what is still driving people like Christoph Berndt, the man behind the protests in Cottbus, and the nationalist AfD party he supports. I sat down with him for a longer interview. Here are some excerpts.
Ich weiß nicht, ob man von Integration reden kann. Also das ist der falsche Begriff dafür. Es geht darum, wie schafft man Bedingungen, dass das Miteinanderleben vernünftig ist, erträglich ist und konfliktarm ist. So. Und da ist natürlich schon mal klar, die schiere Zahl von 1,5 oder 2 Millionen, die schafft schon Probleme, weil die natürlich für ein gedeihliches Zusammenleben Probleme schafft, allein dadurch, dass da Communities entstehen, die wiederum als Magnet für andere Menschen wirken und insofern natürlich die Tendenz in sich haben, sich eben nicht mit dem Gastland zu verzahnen, sondern abzuschotten. Und wenn die EU eine Existenzberechtigung haben will, dann hat sie dringend die Außengrenzen Europas zu kontrollieren. Damit man eben unterscheidet, wer ist wirklich Flüchtling, wer ist wirklich verfolgt. Natürlich ist das möglich, man muss nur wollen. Das ist ganz einfach möglich. Das Problem muss gelöst werden. Wenn die Entwicklung einfach so weitergeht, handelt man vollkommen verantwortungslos. Es führt zu Zuständen in Europa, mit denen niemandem gedient ist.
There you have it. Europe is on the verge of collapse. That's the picture Berndt is painting. It seems coherent, logical, and could cause you some sleepless nights. But is that the reality? Let's ask the experts, the police in Cottbus. They should know a thing or two about security and crimes committed by migrants. This is Ines Filon. You could call her a committed Cottbusian with a sense of humor. She's prepared all the statistics. The most important one to her, 246 criminal assaults by young migrants in 2018, almost twice as many as the year before.
Die haben so ungefähr in der Stadt 3.500 Personen mit Migrationshintergrund, die wir dazu rechnen, wo seit 2015 diese Menschen zu uns gekommen sind. Und wir haben es immer unterschiedlich, so 30 bis 50 Personen davon sind auffällig. Also man kann es auch nicht pauschalisieren, sondern der Personenkreis ist übersichtlich. Zumeist handelt es sich dabei um junge Männer. Entweder da liegen keine Konfliktbewältigungsstrategien vor, also miteinander zu kommunizieren, das tritt da nicht so in den Vordergrund, kommt immer auch darauf an, wie bin ich sozialisiert worden. Und wenn ich im Krieg sozialisiert wurde, dann sind die Umgangsformen dementsprechend auch rauer.
That's one of the points critics of current migration policies stress. In their view, migrants from Africa and the Middle East just don't fit in. Some high-level crimes committed by migrants seem to justify that view. But for Filon, it's not that easy.
Ja, es sind ein paar exponierte Straftaten darunter, wenn zum Beispiel jemand mit einem Messer angegriffen wurde, anschließend notoperiert werden musste. So ganz exponierte Straftaten. Das ängstigt natürlich die Menschen, wenn es dann noch besonders verstärkt wird von einzelnen Personen. Insofern steigert sich die Angst natürlich.
Okay, aber Sie haben also tatsächlich den Eindruck, die Leute haben eigentlich so viel schlimmer ist es nicht geworden, um so viel mehr Angst zu haben.
Nein, wenn man es dezidiert betrachtet und die Fälle ganz im Konkreten, können wir nicht sagen, dass man hier mehr Angst haben muss.
It's probably also our fault. The media tends to report just bad news. All right, let's change that.
We hear a lot about crimes committed by migrants, and of course, that's an important factor. But then there are those that have managed to integrate, that are successful in an environment that at the very least could be called difficult.
This school helps tell a different story revolving around integration, especially the gym in the back. The Wichern School is a fast-growing facility for children with disabilities, and the climbing wall is one of their favorite pastimes.
Und hier?
Enter Rami Abu Salik. He helped construct the wall in this extension of the gym. It was his first project after arriving from Syria as a political refugee. In the beginning, even simple tasks were a challenge for the interior designer.
Was war die schwerste bei mir ist die neue Architektur und Designworte zu lernen. Ich kenne alle auf Englisch und Arabisch, aber die deutsche unterscheidet sich. Es gibt viele schwierige Worte, die ich gelernt habe. Zum Beispiel Direction in Englisch, zum Beispiel West, Ost. Süd zum Beispiel. Dann habe ich
Süden.
Ich mache immer Fehler mit dieser Direction jetzt. Ich muss immer Google Translator benutzen. So Süd, Nord und North. Ja.
Nur grün, genau.
Juliane Lindner is the project manager and Abu Salik's boss. She trusted his skills early on and obviously still does.
Wieso haben Sie sich entschlossen, ihn zu nehmen? War das eine aktive Integrationsmaßnahme oder haben Sie gesagt, der hat es einfach drauf?
Na, ich würde mal sagen, weder noch. Wir haben gesagt, wir probieren es einfach mal, ja. Er war nett, er ist Innendesigner, Architekt. Wir dachten, wir können was, einfach mal probieren.
Und jetzt kann man aber sagen, Experiment geglückt, oder?
Experiment auf jeden Fall geglückt, ja. Ohne ihn würden wir jetzt ganz schön alt aussehen, ja.
Und ist es denn so, also was sagen Sie denn zu den Leuten, die sagen, die ganzen Migranten sind nicht integrierbar in Deutschland?
Ach, das ist ja dummes Gerede. Was soll man dazu sagen? Das ist einfach Quatsch, ja.
Was müsste man tun in Deutschland, Ihrer Meinung nach?
Ja, auf jeden Fall muss man Mittel und Wege finden, sage ich mal, frühzeitig wirklich die Sprache zu fördern und dass alle über Kurse und Maßnahmen Deutsch lernen. Es ist wirklich das Wichtigste hier. Selbst Englisch reicht nicht, konnte man am Anfang natürlich über die Runden, aber ansonsten muss Deutsch gelernt werden. Und natürlich, dass man seitens der Universitäten und Bildungseinrichtungen vielleicht auch in der Abendschule neue Studiengänge oder Vorbereitungssachen oder Aufbaustudiengänge entwickelt, damit die Studien, die Sie gemacht haben, auch in Deutschland adäquat eingesetzt werden können. Das gibt ja hier andere Bestimmungen, Richtlinien, das ist alles nicht so einfach. Ne?
Yup, Germany can be an intransparent place when you come from abroad.
I must say personally, I am impressed as well. Him coming here in this very difficult situation, creating his own niche, really being a factor now at work, being important at work, learning the language, all that is really impressive. I don't know if I would have been able to do that. But, the other side of the story, of course, is that not all migrants are like that. By the way, not all Germans are like that.
No question, Rami Abu Salik has managed to make himself a home in Fost, a small town not far from Cottbus. I remind myself that the reason he came here was and remains a nightmare, the war in Syria. He's of Palestinian descent and is now stateless. He can't go back, even if he wanted to. His life now is unlike most stories we hear about migrants.
Niemand möchte etwas sehen auf Facebook oder YouTube, dass man zum Beispiel arbeitet 8 Stunden, hat die Sprache gelernt. Das ist langweilig. Ja, deshalb haben wir ein Problem, ein Integrationsproblem, weil viele Leute verstehen uns gar nicht. Sie glauben, wenn sie einen Araber sehen oder einen Muslimer oder einen Flüchtlinger, Ausländer, einfach sehen, sie haben dieses typische Bild im Kopf, dass sie sind nicht gut sind, sie nehmen unsere Steuer, wissen Sie, was meine ich, ja. Aber es geht mit Zeit. Ja. Hier in Ost, glaube ich, in Ostdeutschland ist es schwerer als andere Länder. Ich habe Freunde und Bekannte in anderen Bundes, aber es geht. Ja. Hier in Forst habe ich kein Problem.
Of course, when his family joined him 2 years ago, it made things easier. His 4-year-old daughter, Julie, goes to a German kindergarten. And at the time of filming, his wife Ruba was days away from giving birth to their second child. By the way, this painting on the wall means home. The family really seems to be doing everything they can to belong. So does Rami Abu Salik feel like Germany has a migration crisis?
Ich kann das nur teilweise zustimmen, weil ja, manchmal es gibt ein Problem, wenn zum Beispiel viele Kriminalität, ja, wie heißt das auf Deutsch, keine Ahnung, aber viele Criminals Ja, die machen viele schlechte Sachen und bleiben hier. Und das macht uns auch Stress, nicht nur die Deutschen. Muss man sagen, nicht alle Leute akzeptieren uns in dieser Gesellschaft. Ja.
Okay.
Stressig. Aber geht. Okay. Muss man kämpfen. Ja.
It's a fight all across Europe that won't be over for a long time, that much is clear. The results of the European elections will tell us a lot about which direction the citizens of the EU want to go in that respect.
So that's it. Trip from Palermo to Cottbus. And are we any closer to the answer to the question, does the EU really have a migration crisis? If you look at the numbers, not really anymore, but it's clear Europe sustained such a shock in 2015 and 2016 that many people on the continent are traumatized, and some political parties are benefiting from that. And as long as that's the case, you have to say that in a political sense, at least, Europe still has a migration crisis. Where's the unicorn?